let's see, what am I and what do I do? I'm a storyteller, I'm a director, I'm a filmmaker. I field produce and field direct on documentary series. That's what I do.
Was there ever any point where you questioned yourself a little bit and kind of said, maybe this isn't for me, maybe I can't do this, maybe I'm not good enough?
No, I was one of those people that I held on to my ideas for so long early on because I was terrified. I was terrified about what people would think. But the one thing I did have was this little voice in my head saying, but you know you want to find out, and you know you want other people to see the people that you've seen and that you've captured and that you've witnessed, and you hope that people see those moments like you felt them. You know, I've worked on what I believe are really meaningful stories. I worked on this young man's story. He was from Ghana, and he was cycling around first Ghana and then the US, trying to garner attention for disabled children's lives in Ghana, where they didn't have a disabled child's Workman's Act. And we continued to follow his story until he received a meeting with then President Bush. And you know, he ended up passing some new laws in Ghana, and we won an Emmy for our story. I attended the University of Maryland in College Park, and I was a communications major, and I graduated in 2003. I felt like I was in an environment where no matter what you wanted to do, or if you didn't know what to do, you could find a professor or someone that could help you navigate wherever you were in that process. And I had a professor, her name was Carolyn Byerly, and she brought this worldly perspective. And this was a class where it was a real open forum to safely discuss stereotypes, right? And so in this class, we would look at certain regions of the world. And Professor Byerly, she would want to know, you know, what did we feel in here about what this chapter was saying about this group of people, and how did we view, you know, a certain group of people. That sort of started to spark my interest to learn more about the people of the world. I just thought that was very powerful, and I knew I wanted to do something like that one day. I wanted my work to help people learn and feel something emotionally, and laugh too. And we did all those things in that class. My path early on went on a more serious route. While I was producing for Tracy Neal, I covered my first mass shootings tragedy it was Virginia Tech. And you know, from there on throughout my career, 15 years later, I continued to not only cover, but spend considerable time with people who have been impacted by mass shootings in America. I think everyone's fortunate that does this work, because you get this bird's eye view of somebody else's life. I feel really fortunate from my experiences. You know, from knowing a young woman who's a 2-time leukemia survivor, where a doctor said she would never have children, and still today I keep in touch with her. She has a family, and she has a daughter named Hope. I produced this story about the first man to use his mind using what's called an ECG electrode in his brain to move his limb. He was a paraplegic, and he couldn't move anything on his body. So you talk about mind over matter, he literally used his brain to control a robotic arm. and he was the first person in the world to do that. You know, that is something that never leaves you. But I've also got to see people push themselves through great heartbreak and heartache, but then also joy, like finding joy.